Alright guys, here we go with the video of exporting VDBs from tyFlow Zenith for rendering in Octane. So in this video I'm gonna start with setting the simulation, and I'm gonna use a pyramid emitter like this. And I'm gonna create tyFlow, open the editor and drag in one bird inferno like this. I'm gonna pick the pyramid and it's gonna start burning. Hold on, let me just double check. So I have real time off. I'm just gonna disable whoop as well, and the pyramid is on fire. Alright, so before we continue, I just want to mix in some color with the simulation again, like with the previous redshift video. Gonna make this one not renderable, display as box like this. Add another inferno emitter, pick the box. It starts emitting density and temperature by default, so gonna disable the density, gonna disable the temperature. Gonna disable the motion effect of the emitter so that it doesn't affect create drag on the velocities. I'm gonna enable color and just pick some color that is easily recognizable, like this one. I'm also gonna change the default color. Of the smoke, and it starts mixing. Actually I could make this a bit brighter, I guess. Right, something like this. It works. By the way, I just want to take the chance to show you something. So if I just set this, you can see that the colors are mixing right now and they're adding together. So there is one thing in Zenith that is the perceptual color mixing. So this means that the colors get mixed like paints and not just using the mathematical formula for the RGB. So in this case, with these two colors, it doesn't make a lot of difference, but let me show you this. So I'm gonna change this one to just blue like this. Zero red, zero green, just entirely blue. And I'm gonna change the other one. So you can just click right here on this color swatch if you don't want to go in the operator entirely. So the next one, I'm gonna set it to yellow. So blue is 00255, yellow is 255 255 0. So when you add these together, you get 255 255 255, which is, and then divide it by 2 because you average them, so you get just some shade of gray. And this is the way that the mathematical color mixing works. So if I disable this one, we're gonna start getting this gray result here, and this is, for example, how Phoenix used to mix colors. But enabling this, blue and yellow mix to a nice green color like they should if you're using paints. This is the I think that one of the mixing types was called additive, the other was subtractive. So this one mixes like paints, and this one mixes like light. So in this case we want to get the green color. So after all this, let me add an export inferno right here and pick where to export the files, and go export all the VDBs. And then I can go to Octane and create a volume like this. It's a cube, you place it somewhere. I gotta browse to the VDB files, and here is something specific. If it matters which one you choose, so I gotta choose the one with 000, and if I scroll the timeline, it doesn't animate, and it's also huge. So the first thing that I have to change is that here we have 5 digits, so I gotta set the sequence digits to 5, and this is gonna help. This is gonna help. Oh wait, I'm using the recall cache. Instead, I want to set it to solver Here it is. Right, so here's the pyramid. 5 sequence digits, and the last file is 100. So now the animation starts playing, but it's huge and it's sideways. So first, here the units are very important. So in this scene, I was using 1 unit is 10 centimeters. So this is 1 decimeter, and I'm gonna set the units to decimeters like this. And now it's in the right scale. So this is very useful when you're importing stuff from other software where the units can be who knows what. And this allows you to just rescale the volume to the proper size, because sometimes importing VDBs from other software that are not 3ds Max would end up with the VDB being just super tiny or super huge. So if you know the units where it comes from, this is going to be helpful. So now that it's sideways, the next thing that I could do, actually let me just switch the renderer to Octane first and open the Octane viewport. Alright, so here this, it's sideways in the render as well. So in order to straighten it out, I can do 2 things. So let me just show you the thing that doesn't work. So I could go here and use Y up, generate the VDB files. Coming back to the Octane volume grid. I don't know why it takes it so long for the first for the first frame to show up. So now it's transformed in the correct direction, and I can also do the thing that I did with all the other renderers. So with V-Ray, with R-Node, with Redshift, I just gotta set it to 0, 0, 0, and then it's gonna coincide with the pyramid. Or is it? Hold on. Am I moving tyFlow? Yeah, let me just move the actual proper thing. So let me just move the Octane volume, and now it's gonna coincide with the pyramid. Alright, and so far things are looking good. So let me just add, here I can map the VDB channels. Here I can see all of the available VDB channels. So we have the color channel, density, temperature, and velocity in this one. So I can map the absorption to density, emission to temperature, scatter to density again. And then I can map the velocity to velocity. Also, there is an option to pick the separate velocity channels if I do this. But Zenith velocity is just one single vector channel, so I cannot break it up like here, like this here. So I'm gonna just use velocity right here. Those are gonna be disabled. So in order to see some kind of depth and not just black smoke here, I gotta choose a material. So I'm gonna use the standard volume medium, and this is gonna be the Octane material. So edit in this late material editor, here it is. Alright, and here in the density channel, if I've mapped stuff right here, it's gonna appear in the names list, so I can just pick density without having to type it. And the density starts appearing. Here it is. I'm just gonna make the density denser. Like this, or even denser, like this. Alright, and now I can also, let me just map the other channels as well. So I'm gonna map the temperature here to the emission and to the temperature. Here it is, and now it's way too bright. So what I want to do is decrease, like by default, exporting in the default Zenith coordinates. This is gonna be too much here, so it's prepared for a Kelvin multiplier of 5000, but I will just lower it to like 1000, and it's something like that. Yeah, here it's brighter, so I gotta increase it a little, so maybe like make it 1200. Yeah, something like this. This is just the way to get the basic stuff showing up. And now I gotta show you what was bothering me about using Y-up in the Zenith export. So if I go here to camera and enable the motion blur, it should start rendering with motion blur, and right here I can rescale the absorption, emissivity, there is no such thing, emission, and scalar, and the velocity. And if I make it twice larger or 5 times larger, it's gonna start shifting to the sides instead of getting motion blurred. So what I think is happening here is that the VDB is actually rotated, but Octane also wants to have the velocity XYZ inside of the VDB file, just ordered like XZY or something like this. So, and that's why it doesn't support like the rotation as I would have expected. So if I go back here and just switch back to the default Z-up, regenerate the VDB files. I wonder why it's so slow right now. Am I doing something else with the hard drive? Alright, and now it's sped up. Okay, so maybe, yeah, maybe just my storage went to sleep or something. So if I scroll the timeline like this, it should update. Man, updating is tough. Alright, so now it's back on its side, and now I'm just gonna take it and just rotate, and I have to rotate around X. If I rotate it 90 degrees, it's gonna be upside down, so I'm gonna rotate it minus 90 degrees. And now if you see the features right here, this is now it's corresponding to the Zenith volume in the viewport as well. And this way, if I start increasing the velocity scale to 2 and to 5, and now it's symmetrical, so it doesn't move to the side, and now the motion blur is actually really getting scaled. Again, like in the previous videos, I just want to remind you that the velocity units in Zenith are voxels per second. Yeah. So if any other software expects something else, so if it doesn't expect voxels but expects units, or if it doesn't expect it to be in seconds but in ticks or in frames, you gotta just calculate and adjust this value here. So it looks like that by default it's good enough. Maybe 1 or 2 is going to be a good motion blur multiplier, so this is not moving so fast and it doesn't make a lot of difference for this render. But yeah, if I just overcook it, you can see that stuff is happening. And yeah, that was the motion blur setup, so I'm just going to disable that. And then go back to the shader and just, yeah, so the density scale is mapped like this. And again, the algorithm for equalizing with the Zenith render settings is that first I just turn off the temperature, emission mode none, just equalize the alpha in the beginning, then equalize the smoke cover, then turn off the smoke entirely, like, what is the simplest way to do this without actually disabling this? Can I use like none? Okay. Scalar none? No. Yeah, maybe I'll just I'm just gonna zero the density and then enable the emission. Then equalize the emission with Zenith. So in the Zenith display operator, you can turn stuff off from here. Okay, so, and then when by changing the temperature settings, when the temperature is already equalized, so it would be also a good idea to disable the glow so that it doesn't mislead you while you're equalizing. Then you can enable it again. And when everything is equalized, just enable the both the temperature and the smoke at the same time, and it should get as close as possible with the Zenith volume. So there are, however, a couple of roadblocks that I hit that I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, if there is something wrong with my installation, or if there is a different problem. So guys, please let me know if you know how to do this. So one of the things that I wanted to do was to get the VDB cover channel. So we can see that right here in the volume it gets loaded, so it's recognized here, it reads the cover channel. However, I cannot remap it, as far as I can see, I cannot remap it right here to a specific channel. So I don't know if what if I make it an extra channel? No, I can make the density an extra channel, but I cannot pick the cover here. Composite channels, however, these are grayed out. Maybe that would be a way to go, but I'm not really sure. This one is cool here, however. You can scale the channels and you can change the ranges right here if they are in the in an incorrect scale. So this is very flexible and I like this. However, yeah, I think that I'm sorry, in order to show the color right here, so you can change the constant color of the smoke, you can make the entire smoke one color, but in order to map the color channel, I thought that here I would be able to pick color, but yeah, it's not available, probably because it's not mapped here. So instead I go typing color, but nothing happens, so it doesn't seem to recognize this channel. And if I just type anything, I just get the same result. So it looks like it just doesn't recognize it. So the next thing that I tried to do was switch the simple color just to a texture and try some of the textures that Octane provides. So I tried volume to texture. In this case, however, it seems to need a volume node. So if I try to pick this one, however, it might be a circular reference that doesn't allow it because it's also mapped onto the same node. So what I tried to do was to create another Octane volume, just picking the same VDB right there and picking that here so that it could just read the data, and then use grid name, use the color grid, and it just returned black. So it doesn't seem to be reading this channel in the other VDB either. So this is one of the walls that I hit. So I could not bring the actual color from the VDB grid into the shader. And if you guys know how to do this, if I'm doing something wrong, okay, please let me know. And the other thing that I wanted to do was to map the fire color gradient and the fire opacity gradient from Zenith's Inferno display operator. I wanted to map them just the way that they are here, do something in the shader. However, I could not figure out how to do this either. So I could change the general color of the fire right here. But if I try using a texture in this place, I looked it up on the internet that there is a volume ramp texture for Octane, but for some reason I don't see it here. So I see volume cloud, volume to texture, and that's everything that I see. If I type ramp, I just get the regular gradient ramp from 3ds Max, and if I type gradient, I get this gradient texture, which looked like something that could probably do the job, but it doesn't look to me like it's actually reading the temperature channel from the VDB and remapping it to a color that I choose here in the ramp. Instead, it looks to me like it's just taking the color like here in the middle and just using it throughout the volume. And I also tried the same thing. Whoops, I didn't have to close it. I tried just the same approach right here with the smoke color, so that I could just see better the effect of the color, so that it's not like changed by the black body temperature remap right here, and this ramp just didn't seem to work. So I looked it up on Google. It's the AI summary, which cannot be trusted because just these algorithms, they cannot reliably remember facts. However, it said that sometimes the volume ramp texture gets missing. I don't know whether this is really the case or if it's hallucinating. So the version of Octane that I'm using is Octane 2026.1. 26.04 demo. So I don't know if it's just this texture is not present in the demo, or maybe it's not present in this version of Max, or if I'm doing something wrong, or if my installation went wrong. So again, if you guys know how to remap some of the VDB grid channels into a cover using a ramp, yeah, please let me know in the comments. These are the two roadblocks that I hit, so unfortunately this video ends up in disappointment. And in general, I can bring the temperature and the smoke into the shader, but it should be able to do more than this. I just couldn't figure out how to do that. Right. That's it. Thanks guys for watching, and see you in the next one. If you know how I can do those things that I couldn't figure out, I'm gonna just record another video with the full package. So yeah, thanks guys, and bye.